education, and real-world knowledge about the voiceover industry. It's the Voiceover Gurus Podcast.
This is your podcast, very casual. I don't take out anything. So
that's great.
Yeah. Yawn, drink, do what you got to do because
no cursing.
No editing. Oh, you can curse if you want. If it's really bad, I'll beep it out. But
all right.
There's nothing slick.
Charles is going to start off with a cuss.
Yeah. The first thing. Welcome to the podcast.
Right. Yeah. This is not your podcast, Charles. You don't do the intro.
Get to relax. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Voiceover Gurus Podcast. I'm Linda Bruno. We have an interesting situation today because I was lucky enough to be on another podcast. Another VO podcast is the official title, yes.
Yeah.
And it was cool because it wasn't just being with one other person. I actually had 4 gentlemen that were also in the chat room. And I decided that it would be fun to have you guys on the show, and I really appreciate it. So we're going to go around the room here, the little virtual room, and I want you to state your name and your location. I'm looking here, Brady Bunch Box. Troy, why don't you start?
Hey, I'm Troy Holden. I'm near Nashville, Tennessee, and I've been doing this about 3.5 years. Excellent.
Jacob Sanders.
Yeah, hey, no, I am Jacob Sanders. If you see me out in the VO world, it is Jake. But I mean, when I introduce myself, it's Jacob. But I've been in voiceover for about I guess I'm starting my 5th year right now, and then I'm in Weatherford, Texas.
Texas, love it. All right, Alden Schoeneberg.
Alden Schoeneberg, yes, and I go by Alden.
Okay.
If I'm out in the VO
Schoeneberg?
world, I'm just
on our podcast, we call him Alden, but that's okay.
I get everything.
We do not. Troy does, but that's his accent.
Top professionals know it's pronounced Alden.
Alden.
Just so that Troy...
I got lucky there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
No,
it's
you did great.
I started doing voiceover in the summer of 2019, so just around 4.5 years.
Okay. Yeah, so
me
you've been
doing
in
that.
Quite a bit. Excellent.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Charles Coates.
Hi, my name is Charles Coates, a.k.a. Charles the Voice. I am in Dallas, Texas, only about 20 minutes away from Jacob. And
You are in Fort Worth, Texas.
What did I say, Dallas?
Yeah.
Dallas.
I used to live in Dallas. My bad. Sorry for the Fort Worth people. I do claim you. Sorry for the Dallas people.
Hi, I'm Charles, and I have long COVID.
Yeah. You need a sign on the inside of your
I'm actually based out of
your
Mars.
name and where you're from.
My name is Charles Coates, and I have short-term memory loss. All right. And I've been doing voiceover for about 3.5 years also. I am a COVID story, so.
A COVID
corporate world from corporate world to voiceover because of COVID.
Awesome. Well, not awesome, but awesome in a lot of ways. Yeah. Okay. All right, good.
Well, thank you, Linda.
So I got the years. Troy, did you tell us how long you've been doing this?
About 3.5, about the same as Charles. We kind of started up together and became friends pretty quick early on. So
yep.
Okay, and then Alden is a little longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
You said 4. And remind me again,
Jake's
Jacob, what was yours?
Well, no, because Alden, if you started in the back half of 2019, you're in your 5th year. Because if you think about it, like all of 2020, all of 21, 22,
4.5.
So, okay. So that's what I literally, I was auditioning before COVID happened, and I booked my first job literally 6 days before the U.S. went on lockdown.
Wow.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not a COVID story, but COVID definitely helped my first year be fairly successful for, just getting into the gig.
Yeah, that's great.
Great. Okay. So we know now how long you've all been at it. So is anybody full-time without another job?
Yeah, I think
all of us.
All are.
So,
All right. Very nice. Excellent. Okay. So let's start with Troy. So far, what has surprised you about this business?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think probably the amount of non-VO work you have to do. A ton of it. I mean, you better be a marketing person. You better be a social media person, a website person. You better know how to keep your accounting, your bookkeeping, and your customer service better be second to none.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good. Very good. Jacob?
I just kind of want to echo that. I mean, the fact that it is a business. It's not just talking into a mic like a lot of people think. I'm trying to think if there's anything separate than that.
Yeah, if anybody has anything else that they think is different that has shocked them, let me know,
Yeah, no, it's really just that it's not about having a great voice. That was always surprising, because I mean, growing up and stuff like that, I'd always mess around with my voice, and I can do things with my voice that aren't, how I'm talking to you now. But a lot of times, a lot of things I audition for are how I'm talking to you now, just conversational, and so kind of realizing that was like, oh, okay, that is a little different. But other than that, yeah, pretty much what Troy said. It is a business.
Cool.
I think for me, there's a couple things. One is kind of stems off of Jacob, what he said. Being yourself is the hardest thing to overcome in this, I found. Like, just, when they're like, oh, just be yourself, that you need to put yourself into it. They want your voice. And it's so hard there's like this mind shift. There's like this ridge you got to go over to understand, be like, okay, that's what they want when they mean me. It's just me, but it's this brain block that keeps you from being yourself. And that was a big thing for me. And also when I started, not having coaching, thinking I was good enough without having any coaching, because everybody said I got a great voice, and I know myself, and I could talk to anybody and anywhere in an elevator and wherever. But not having that coaching early on, like, I feel like I've missed out. I could be even further ahead than I am now if I had gotten the right coaching from the very beginning, I think.
Interesting.
I do agree with that. I'm going to give a different answer, though. One thing that surprised me was the landscape of voiceover talent and how friendly and well-received it is in the community. I did not see that coming. I thought this was going to be me in my booth and me cracking out all the work, and
not knowing
it is
anybody.
A terrific community. Yeah, and I was happy not to know anybody for a year and a half, and then very happy when I found some people and started to make community.
It's nice to get that support and also to feel like you're not alone in this journey. But I think because this business is so hard, everybody kind of bonds because we're all in the trenches. We're all, trying to fight the war to get, the big win. That's awesome.
I have one more surprise that surprised me.
Do tell.
It is when I first started, I needed this validity in myself that, hey, if I don't show up, like, if people don't think of me as somebody, then I'm nobody in this business. And like, you would see superstars in the, quote unquote superstars in our voiceover industry. And then you finally meet them, and it's like, wow, they've got, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like I do. And they have they got pipes busted in their house, and they're trying to figure out stuff. And it's just like, whoa. And it just humanizes the whole industry for me, because it's like, okay, everybody's just people, and they all have lives, and they're all struggling in this thing to make it.
There's a part of voiceover that now these days, because everybody's going to conferences and they have a lot of, social media presence, that there is still, a large group of people that are making a lot of money and you don't even know who they are. Because they have their regular clients, or they're a voice of something, and they're just not into the spotlight. They're not into social media. They're not into sharing. So it's not just what we see.
Right.
There are so many other people that are also working and doing quite well, that aren't as, present in some of the communities. But that's kind of cool too, because you think about it, you're like, oh, wow, I don't need to be chatting with a million people. If I just get my head down and really start to make some good connections and impress the right producers, I can make a sweet little career for myself. And, so just an interesting aspect. Okay. So what are you most proud of so far, since you've all been doing this for a few years, booking wise? What's your little pride so far, the best client that you can be like, oh my God, I can't believe I booked that?
Oh man. I think at least recently for me, I booked a radio commercial for Del Taco. And they're in 17 different states. And so and it's one of those ones where it's like I'm playing one of two guys, and I'm interacting with a voice that obviously when we recorded it, he wasn't there. But when I got to hear the whole thing, it sounds like we're hanging out, or
That's
whatever.
Cool.
And yeah. And so, I mean, it wasn't anything like fantastic as far as it wasn't uplifting, inspiring. I just got to play. In fact, the lady I was working with at the production house, she just we'd be happy to have you back as a dude again some other time, like if it
Nice.
came up. So it's fun to play a dude, There's that one. And then my first year of voiceover, I booked, it was a multi-regional, I guess, so a national spot. It was in 4 different states, but I guess they've called it a national spot for a bank in New Jersey, New York, Alabama, and Florida called Valley Bank. And it was like just thanking everybody for sticking with them during COVID and whatnot. And so I got to do that. Like, that was my first, like, little work, big paycheck job.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Oh,
that.
love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was fun. Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
I had a couple things that were odd. The smallest word, the smallest amount of words for the most amount of money was for Yellowwood in Alabama. They do treated lumber, and it played everywhere. It was radio, but the one that got me the most visibility was the ESPN spot. But it was quick, and it was right after the Super Bowl. They played it, like at the post game of the Super Bowl on ESPN, and I'm doing the big announcer voice.
That's cool.
Not even doing the conversational. And I had more people texting me or messaging me on Facebook, like, was that you on ESPN? Yeah, it really was me. And that was really neat. But the most surprising thing I booked was a Pfizer disclaimer. I just thought, I'll never book anything like that with a Southern accent.
not with that attitude.
Yeah. But yeah, that was really cool. And not the best paying job. It was a SAG-AFTRA job. It was a regional radio, not the best paying, of course, but it was nice to throw that logo on the website. So
Seriously. I know that, you talk about how you were doing the announcer voice. I mean, the first national that I booked, I was a telephone operator. So it's like, it doesn't even matter what the role is.
Yeah.
At least you're in it and you're going to get paid for it.
Right. That's the goal, right?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Be in it and paid for it.
Awesome. Who else?
I've got a couple brands that I'm pretty proud to have gotten, and they're really from direct clients that I've gone out and found. I was booked last year to do a couple Bosch e-learning for some of the new tools that they were coming out with. That was a lot of fun to do, and I love having their logo and being associated with that brand. And then just recently in December, I did a short media, like a social media thing for John Deere. And that was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very,
yeah,
very
just
nice.
took my brand right away.
Yeah, that's right.
We thought Troy had it in the
Salt-of-The-Earth
bag.
beats blue jeans every day.
Awesome. Charles, do you want to share?
I would say the proudest one for me is a big one is Valvoline, which their commercial spot's going to come out next month. So I can't even share the video, but they let me have it so I can share it in February.
Nice.
It comes out.
It's great. You nailed
Yeah.
it.
He can't
it's a
share
good
it,
spot.
Alden, so you haven't
we-
seen it.
I'm sure you did great, Charles.
Yeah. I did the Apple TV Plus trailer for the Velveteen Rabbit.
Yeah, that one was
that played.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty awesome.
You
That's
almost
great.
wouldn't know it was him.
Yeah,
You-
because it's
Really?
my British accent. Yeah,
And he did an audition for it.
yeah they found me.
Can you
direct,
believe
so.
this? He was acting.
Wow.
Yeah, he was acting as a voice actor.
Did they come to your website?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
where
awesome.
they got me from.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even tell the guys this.
Of course. Here it comes.
Yeah, Friday I booked a spot for Bosch and Lom for the Olympics.
Oh, yeah. No, you
Wow.
did. You told me
Did I
this.
tell you that? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, you and I were in the car a long time
Oh
together
yeah,
on
that's right.
Saturday,
Yeah, that's
so-
right. That's right.
Let's not go there, please.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, have any of you had one where you I like to ask newer talent this. Has there been a point so far where you go, oh, wow, I've made it? Or, oh, wow, I can do this for a living. I can do this. That confidence moment, that aha moment.
I'm one of the. I feel like I can compete, and I hear other people sometimes, and I think I know I can do that. I know I can, but I do not feel like I'm there. I think that somewhere maybe around year 5, maybe there's a switch that goes off around year 5 that says, okay, you can do this. You need to venture into this. You have made it, and I think that's true with any business. They say 3 to 5 years is the make or break point for almost any small business, and we're a small business. And and we have to get out there and compete. And I
Right.
think that's where I'm at. I'm like, I have the confidence to go for things, but I don't have the confidence that I can get certain things. So
Yeah,
it's still a little tough.
Sure.
I was gonna say, yeah, like I don't think I necessarily have made it yet, and that's just based on the fact. I mean, like I've yet to hear myself out in the wild, and I've yet to have anybody like say, "Hey, I've had people ask if I did this such and such spot, but I didn't do it. It wasn't me." Our friend Jenna says that she's like, "I'm pretty sure you have a voiceover doppelganger out there," and she sent me a spot. I know that. That's what I said. I was like, well, that doesn't bode well for my career.
For me. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And I mean, like, and here's the thing is like, I've 2020 was a great year for me. I was, especially because I did have a job at the time, like a full-time job. And so booking all that stuff was like really cool, but I was only on one platform and I wasn't doing direct marketing. I didn't even think. I kicked myself because I'm like, man, if I would have just done direct marketing when I had all this downtime at my other job doing COVID, like where would I be right now? Like, would I be like would I feel like I made it or whatever? But, booking that Del Taco spot or that Valley Bank spot, and I've done other stuff in between in the same realm, but those things definitely give me confidence, but I don't necessarily consider myself that I've made it yet. But if you ask my friends who know me and that I do voiceover, they're like, "Oh yeah, you must have made it." You know what I mean? So it's all perspective,
Right.
But from my perspective, I don't feel that way. From others, they might feel different. From newer voice talent listening to this and going like, "Well, I haven't done that," they might think, "Well, yeah, you have made it. Be happy." I mean, like I'm happy, I'm thankful, but I don't know if I've made it in my opinion.
And I don't think that you should consider that period of time during COVID, that you had the opportunity to reach out because the world was crazy. And
Right.
so many companies, especially advertising agencies, marketing, people were losing their jobs, so
Maybe that's
don't
that's a
beat
good
yourself
point.
up. You know what I mean? There were
Yeah.
opportunities kind of shifted there. And
Right.
I'm a big believer that things happen for a reason. So, but totally.
I think two things for me to know that I've made it, which I have not yet.
Which is crazy. He's about to though. Just watch.
He's on the brink.
Yeah.
For sure.
Is tolls are very expensive in Texas. So my wife and I have a joke. They're like, "So when do we know that we've made it?" And it's like when we just drive right onto the toll without looking at the price of the toll, because it's a fluctuating toll, and sometimes it could be like $20 a segment.
Yeah.
In that
so
case,
it's
I
like-
have made it. I never look. I see it on my credit card bill.
That's called
Yeah, I'm like-
avoidance, Jake. That's called avoidance.
Yeah, I'm like, we look and we're like, yeah, nope, not today. So when we could just drive on the tolls everywhere we want to, we know we've made it. And when we can comfortably go for like a 2-week vacation or at least a week and a half vacation twice a year, then we know like, okay, without taking a travel rig, without doing all, taking all the stuff to, if there's somebody that needs me, that kind of thing. Because somebody told me a couple weeks ago, they were like, the base word of vacation is vacate, to vacate. And if you're going on a vacation, like when can you've been on vacations, but some really they just stick in your mind. And I guarantee there probably wasn't maybe much work or any work involved. You just enjoyed, you vacated, your mind vacated out of the voiceover, your body vacated out of your booth and studio, and you just enjoyed your vacation with your family and friends and the things around you. And that's where I want to be. And then I'll know I've made it when I could do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, bad news. So even me doing it for this many years, when I go away, I am still paranoid.
Sure.
That I'm
Right.
losing something, because, you get it ingrained in you that I don't know when my next paycheck is coming. I don't have a paycheck. Holy shit. I got to, pay for
Yeah.
So you wind up like wanting to relax. At least this has been my experience. But it's always like in the back of your mind. And I'm like, do I need to? The only time I think I really fully unplugged was getting married, last year. Because I said, screw it. I'm going to take this time and I'm getting married, get
Right.
over it.
No, you're
But
very
otherwise-
well within your rights
Yeah.
to do that.
Otherwise, I'm pretty paranoid.
I hear you.
I think about this business, the whole made it thing. I don't think I've ever thought, oh yeah, I made it. It keeps us so humble
Right.
as we go through those
Right.
periods, so you, you enjoy those wins and really enjoy them. But what about you, Alden? Do you have anything that said to you, oh my gosh? And it's more of a
Well,
question
yeah.
of, do you feel like you can do this for a living? That's been
Oh,
the
sure.
question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I rephrasing it to say, I'm a voice actor. I think that moment when I had my first live directed session, that was a big deal. It was somebody I'd reached out to in my marketing, and within 3 or 4 months, well, a short 3 or 4 months, they're wanting work, right? Because that's how much you have to invest or more. Anyway, it was for National Farmers Union, and the guy loved my voice for that project, and it was on the big assembly. It was their video that they were watching on the main screen and the whole collective, and then also did a 30-second radio ad for the same promotion. And, the director was great and made me feel like I was right on the money, like I was giving him exactly what I wanted. I'm like, I'm a voice actor.
Yeah. That's legit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's a totally legitimate thing, though. I mean, also, if you're getting paid, you're a voice actor.
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
Oh, yeah. And in that regard, I definitely feel like I can do this. It's just like, can I compete in those higher levels? Will I ever book one of those? Like, my goal is to book a national commercial, something that like I can hear while after I turn the TV on to go cook or something like that, and all of a sudden I'm stopped because like, oh, that's the spot. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because there's so many things I audition for that I hear. Like, I'll be sitting there on the couch with my girlfriend and be like, I audition for that. I audition for that.
I know.
I audition for that.
Yeah. No, but then when you hear something once and you're like, okay, I remember that, and then you're like, that really? That's
the director.
What they wanted?
Right.
Like, what?
And here's the thing: they probably didn't audition like that, and that's what you come to find out is that like their audition probably sounded nothing like that. But what it was is they get in the session, they get the director, they get the producers, they maybe even get someone with from the client on there who wants something, because ultimately that's what the client wants, right? And they all of a sudden it turns out being exactly what they tell you it's not going to be. It's not going to be announcery. It's not going to be this, and then you listen to it and it ends up being like that.
And then they end up using your wild take or something. It's like, really?
That's true. That can happen too.
I think the conversational announcer is the most popular read.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, because it's very, formulated announcer. And they're saying their words so perfectly. Yeah. It's conversational kind of, but I still hear announcer.
There has to be some
narrator.
It's got a little narrator or something. Little sale.
I will say that it helps me to look at and appreciate the little things and the small victories along the way. And to do that, I have to look at myself through the eyes of my wife, who comes to me and says to me often, I'm so proud of you. You're doing a great job. You're so good. And I don't feel good because I know I'm not where I want to be with my business.
Right.
There's still things I want to achieve. I don't feel like even though I'm full-time, I feel like my full-time income isn't quite, enough yet.
Right.
But at the same time, I can look back and for a long span, I have made money doing voiceover every week.
Right.
Every week I've made something.
That's a big deal these days too.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, you look at the surveys that have come out, and I know there's a new one coming out, and you look at the percentage of people who make zero and the percentage who are making less than 20 grand. I mean, it's a big number out of the 1,500 people. It's a lot. So,
do you have benchmarks? Like, do you guys have and say, this is what I made in January, this is what I made in February, I want to make $1,000 more in March? Do you guys monitor your success that way?
100%.
I had not until this year, and a lot of that beforehand was because I always just knew when I was going to get ready for taxes, I could just go back and go and look at each platform and say, okay, I made this much here, this much there. But I want to do it this year, and I have so far. I've kept up with. I started filling out a revenue tracker, similar to the one Charles has, and then just kind of monitoring that, So I am interested to see how that looks for me by the end of this year. But before, I really didn't care like month to month. I just wanted to book something. Like my goal is to book at least one thing a week. That's my goal. Have at least one thing come in. And I count, even if I hear about it the week before, I don't, like if someone's like, hey, I have a job that's coming up. Are you going to be available next week? Yeah. I won't count it until it comes in. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So luckily, so far this year, I've been fairly consistent with that. Like something's come in every week, even if I did kind of know about it beforehand. I'm always happy to take anything I didn't see coming, but who isn't?
Sure.
But other than that, that's kind of how I looked at it beforehand. But yeah, I'm interested to see how my month to month goes this year. So.
Okay. Cool.
And year on year, you got to look at year on year.
Oh well, that's definitely true. But I feel like something I was doing for sure.
Yeah.
But and you go monthly? I know Troy, I think you do, right? Don't you measure your months?
Yeah, I do. I look at the months and I compare, last year to this year and whatever, and I set a goal to increase by 10 to 15 to 20%, depending on what it is. Last year, a lot of people said don't expect an increase. Expect to try to stay level, and if you stay level, you're okay. But I had a 20% increase, so I was really happy with that. And I take a mission statement first. I write a personal mission statement for what I want to do for myself personally. Maybe I need to lose some weight, get more active, do this, take more vacations, whatever. Then I'll break that into my business goals. And then monthly, I've got to look at what I have to do to achieve my mission this month. I got to go.
Fabulous.
I got to hit the treadmill 3 times a week. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I don't always make it. I'm hard on myself when I do that stuff, but it helps me focus. And I like what Jake's saying, I just want to book something. I want to make sure I'm booking something. And my thing that I look at on my spreadsheet, I track everything by when I'm paid. I don't look at when I'm booked or anything. So when it comes in and I get paid, let's say, that month I got paid, and I'm just throwing a number out there. I got paid $7,000. Okay, well, that's great. I got paid $7,000. And next month I got to do this much to stay on track, and I'll watch it that way. But what I'm looking for is I want to see that money go up and the number of entries come down. I want to be working better jobs, less time, more money. And that is the big goal in the mission statement, booking the better jobs.
That's great.
And that's definitely taken the 3.5 years to get to that, because you're doing the YouTube narrations. And I tell people all the time, they say, how many of those did you do? And I say, I can pull it up and count the files again, but it's over 4,000.
Oh my God, Troy.
Yeah. So over 4,000. But what I learned from that, is the editing, the learning to read ahead.
You got your process down.
I really got a lot of processes down, but I gave all that crap up like 2 years ago when the timing was right. But that paid for me to learn how to do this the right way. And that's what I did it for. I, did that stuff, quote unquote, unanimously. Nobody's going to go listen to that crap. They're not even going to find it.
Yeah. Cutting your teeth on it.
Yeah, but it I got paid to practice, and it also funded me to be able to come to the Gurus workouts, to be able to get you guys to coach me, to do other coaching, to get a better setup, and it all paid off. Can you still do that now? I don't know. I think it's changed.
Yeah.
I think it's harder to get that. I think AI is getting a ton of that work now.
That bottom stuff. I mean, I was listening to another pod today, and they said the same thing, and JMC said it before too. It's just like AI probably will scoop out that bottom feeder area. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, I don't know how to say that. I mean, I don't want to sound like, I'm not happy about taking jobs away from people, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, good. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of takes people out of the market that, we're just oversaturation to an extent, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm interested to see how that all plays out. But all I know for myself is that I want to always be able to compete. So I want to keep getting better, and I want to do better. It's just having the means to invest in the right places and making the right investment choices to do so, to get better, So that's what's hard for me.
I think to touch on the AI thing, I think a positive thing is I can't remember who said it, but they were like, think about it. Pepsi, let's say, right? They have a creative director, they have a director of marketing, they have, they have writers, they have all these people that they're paying lots of money, smart people, to make these great campaigns. I don't care how great the AI is, they're not going to use it. They're going to direct, they're going to get somebody on the phone, they're going to listen to auditions, they're going to say, this is the sound that we want, and they're going to get in, and they're going to want that opportunity to direct you, to change something, to tweak something. Well, now, kind of make it feel like this, or kind of do it like this. And there's nothing that can even come close. And even if it did, they're not going to pay $100 for an AI to work with this pretty much multi-million-dollar team.
The millions and millions of dollars that go into these campaigns, they would no way would they take the chance on that. But I remember when I was working with HSN, this was the time of Fiverr being introduced. And so we didn't have the AI, but it was people on Fiverr. And I asked the producer, I said, would you use Fiverr? And he said, for a scratch track, sure. He goes, it's an easy thing for me to use. He goes, but I couldn't go to my boss and say, the voice of the network is someone I got on Fiverr. And he was like, that's my reputation. I would never do something like that. And then I was like, okay. But it's just true. Too much goes into it to be, it just wouldn't happen. So I'm in total agreement with you on that, Charles.
Yeah. So that's a good thing, right?
Totally.
Yeah. 100%.
It should be.
Those will stay. Now we just got to get to that point where we're booking all the
well, maybe not booking all of it, but at least being able to compete. Because look, there's so much work out there.
About booking.
I know you are talking about booking, but
book that stuff.
But the thing is, you can't have the expectation that you're going to get to a point where you're just booking everything. You can book a lot of things, but there's just so much out there. Not any one person can book every gig out there, right? But you want to be able to compete.
Too. There are trends. There are local trends.
Yeah.
And you may be hot for several years, and then suddenly it's like, we're going to move on into another trend. So you want to go for the long run. You want to have a career for 20, 30 years,
Right.
And so, if you don't book as much one year from another year, that's normal. That's normal. It doesn't always. I think it's fantastic to have those goals. I love how planned and organized you are, Troy. That's fantastic because I'm a big believer in that too. You need to visualize it. You need to decide what it is you want. I used to go so far as to say, I want to make X amount of dollars each month. And then I would break it down by hour as to how much I would need to make each hour to get to my goal. So I'd say today I need to make $1,000, and I'm not working Saturday and Sunday, so I want to make 20,000 this month. So I would set the intention. Whether it happened or not is a different story.
Right.
100%.
Putting it out there is huge. Making that decision.
I think a lot of this too in this business is, having the right opportunities. And one person had told me, it's if you tie it into baseball, you want to be in the on-deck circle and get a chance to get in the batter's box, have your shot at that job or that script or that audition. And you have to somehow position yourself out of the dugout into the on-deck circle, into the batter's box. So you've got to take those steps. And I feel like all of us are kind of transitioning into the batter's box where we've been in the on-deck circle. We got a little taste of some good stuff, but we all need that coastal agent, or we need we've got some regional agents, and maybe we're seeing a few of those things, but we're not seeing the big stuff. And I talked to somebody yesterday. They were so busy because they're working on so much Super Bowl stuff right now. And I'm like, cool, send me some of those auditions. I'd love to. But I couldn't do that. But I think that's it. We're trying to get in that position to where you can book that big thing, and it carries you for a little while until you get that next big thing. And all these little things we're doing, you may keep doing them in the background for week to week stuff, but you're hoping to start nailing a few of those bigger ones. That's where I feel like we all are, all four of us. We're just so close. But, you got to get that break. You got to get that right agent. You got to get that right everything.
There's a lot of things that go into it. Alden, did you share your monetary?
I compare this month to the same month last year. Try to make it more, try to grow that. I want to see. I want to have more invoices this year than I had last year. I want more direct clients that I'm billing directly. I also want to. I still haven't booked my first agency job. I'm auditioning for them, but just haven't booked it yet. Those are pretty tough to get. Yep. I want to win more auditions. So those things lead to raising my income, but they're a little bit smaller goals, a little more measurable for me.
Sure. Yeah.
I like that you go down to the hour, because I do mine down to the day. And I have it written on my dry erase board. And it's crazy because when you're making your goal, it's like, when do you up your goal? Right. And then I remember my wife came in and she was like, hey, you've had that goal up there for the week and, for the month, and let's break it down, to raise your goal. And she doubled it. She doubled the goal. And I was like, there's no way I can make that. There's no way. And then I'm making that. And then I've probably from my first goal, which was very low, to my goal that's up there now, when I started, if I ever even wrote the number that's on that whiteboard outside right now, I'd be like, you're fucking nuts. Like, there's no way. Like,
Right.
there's no other way to like act the surprise, but that's what you would say. You'd be like, you're nuts. There's no possible way in the universe that could be some goal you're shooting for every month.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, invest when you're paying for coaching, when you're paying for workshops, that money, it might be a little difficult to scrape up, but it can be done. And once you look at it as an investment into my business, into me getting better, into me doing better for my family, for my business, it's a whole different thing. Like, you want to spend that for those kinds of things.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because you're looking at it as an investment. Like, this is the thing that's helping me to become the thing that I want to be, and to be the person for my family that I want to be, and all that stuff. So sorry to make a short story long, but yeah, I'm down to every day.
Every day. Good for you. All right, so now let's talk about mistakes. What mistakes have you made?
I mean, I probably didn't. I mean, so here's the thing. I came from like an acting background. Like, I mean, like I did theater for a long time. I had a film and television agent back when I was 20, and I had them for 10 years. So when I got into voiceover, I kind of had a general idea of like how this works.
That's a great foundation.
I mean, and that's the thing is like I didn't do any coaching my first year at all, and I booked 40 jobs. And I was doing it as a side gig. I mean, like I probably made just over 11K just doing voiceovers. I did have a full-time job at the time. So I was like, okay, cool, I can do this. But then, I mean, like things got weird after, towards the end of 2021, and I hadn't done really any coaching at all. So I decided 2022, I'll look into some coaching. In 2023, I did some coaching as well. Still not sure if it's me that's not getting some stuff or if it's, I mean, like, because here's the thing. I mean, like, I am booking more consistently again. I kind of attribute my huge downtime just to kind of what was going on just with the economy, with people kind of iffy about AI, and then oversaturation on certain platforms and not doing direct marketing for a little bit of time. That's what I attribute most of my downtime to. But, summer hit, and then I started booking more consistently again. But I feel like I just haven't made the right connection coaching yet. And my mistake is just like either I'm not taking what I'm learning and applying it, or I just haven't heard the right words in the right way that makes me go, aha.
That connects with you.
That connects with me, right. Sure. And I'm not blaming my coaches. I definitely have learned things from the people I have coached with. But it's not, for me, it doesn't seem like it's enough to elevate my experience.
I always use the example of I used to play golf. So I was like obsessed with it, and I would take lessons every week. And it was a great coach. I loved him. I was with him for like 7 years. And then I happened to be at a club, and there was another guy there coaching, and I'm like, oh, let me take a lesson. And so the guy shows me how to do a pitch shot a different way than my original coach had. And it was fantastic. I was like, oh, this fits, this works. It was just a different perspective that resonated for me. Exactly.
And so, I mean, to kind of touch on the mistake, I think mistake is probably not getting coaching as soon as sooner than I did. But at the same time, I mean, like, because I had the background of acting, I knew something, you know what I mean? Right. Like I knew some things, and I still know some things. But yeah, I always stress coaching to people who ask me about voiceover. I was like, look, you need to get coaching. Like, I mean, like, and I'll tell them my story. Like, look, I didn't, and I was successful. You very well could be successful, but I would highly suggest getting coaching, because they're going to be able to tell you about the trends. They're going to, you make sure that they're working, because they're going to be able to tell you what it takes to work in this business now. You know what I mean? So coaching is obvious, is my mistake, or lack of coaching.
Gotcha.
I started too quickly full time. I wanted to wait another year. I wanted to go another year, but man, I was in global supply chain and automotive, and of course everybody knows there were no cars to sell, and they couldn't get parts and this and that. No, well, I was the guy trying to get the freaking parts in the country. And, for my company, and we built parts that went into every engine for Toyota, General Motors, Nissan, all of them. So every day, the stress of get that container from Japan, get this from here. This plant is down. They don't have workforce. Can you send us 6 people to help pack parts? And, it was every day. And I just came home like in October, and I said, I can't do this anymore. My wife said, okay, just quit.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? She said, just quit. I thought, I can't just quit. Well, sure, you can just quit and just do voiceover. You're starting to do it. You're making some money. Just quit and do it. But had I had another year, I think I really could have been more prepared. I'd have been better off because kind of like Jake, I wasn't direct marketing. I was relying on a lot of platforms and auditioning and all that stuff. And then I finally, the second year full time, I got into all that. But that first year, I survived somehow on all those platforms, made enough money to get by. But the second year, by getting more direct customers, more repeat business, more this, and I went from like 18% direct the first year to almost 50% the second year, and I was closer to 65% direct this year.
Interesting.
So that really made a big difference. But another year would have helped me a lot.
Well, I just want to add to that real quick because you said that was a mistake, and sure, maybe it was a mistake in the fact that you probably needed that extra year just to be comfortable, but you did make it through. But because I'm in the same boat as you are, I didn't do global supply chain, but I was working at a job that was just mentally draining me every day. And my girlfriend, at one night I got off work and I was working at home too. So it's not like I was leaving the house. I was able to work from home, but it just got so ridiculous. And the people that owned the company I worked for were making poor choices for us, in my opinion. And my girlfriend looked at me one day, she's like, just quit and do this, follow, you want to do this voiceover thing. So just quit and do that. And so, sure, did I get in too early? Absolutely I did. But I think I would rather do what I've done than stick with that job that I did not enjoy. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to be mentally drained every day. And that's what it was doing to me.
Yeah. It's a misery.
Yeah.
I think for me, I didn't have the luxury because I was working for a big airline, a major airline in America, and they were like, nobody come into work on Saturday because of this COVID thing. And then now we're just kind of sitting there getting on Zoom calls every day for 30 minutes, making sure we're alive because we don't know what's happening out in the world. And I had just built my first house and moved in November of the year before that. So I've been in the house for 3 months. And they come back and they're like, we're pretty much going to let everybody go on the team, 79 people on our team.
Oh my God.
And I had moved from Expedia, living in China, opening the Korean line of business from China, I was manager globally. It was crazy. And I came here for this job. And then everything was going hunky-dory and it was awesome and I'm going to be this airline guy forever. And then all of a sudden it's just rug pulled out from underneath you. Yeah. And you are just flying head over heels upside down and your world is upside down and you're like, what am I going to do? And so I think because that happened, it was just, I was forced to do what I needed to do. But now I'm getting off topic, but what was the biggest surprise for me? I would say is probably the fact that you'd send out auditions and you would never get a reply. That was the biggest kind of shock to me. And I really let that get to me.
Yeah.
I really let it get to me and I'm just just tell me that, hey, you know what? Give me the letter when I'm applying for a job that says, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, we're not going to move forward with you. And I'm just waiting for that.
It doesn't happen. Yeah.
And it was eating me alive. Yeah. And until somebody told me that, dude, you just got to set it and forget it. Like that old infomercial and just go to the next one. Yeah. Because it's going to drive you crazy. And so once I did that, it was like a weight off my shoulders.
So would you say your mistake that you made there was thinking you'd get a reply?
Yeah. That everybody was going to reply to me.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, man, and then I'd be like, man, I did 3 auditions today. I'm doing all these auditions.
All 3?
Yeah. All 3 of them.
And it probably took all day, didn't it?
Yeah, I know, right? And it's and nobody's getting back to me. And then
how dare they?
I know. And then because you're starting out, I felt demoralized. The air was just getting let out of my balloon. I'm like, okay, this isn't for me. See, they're not replying back. I don't know what's happening. And it's dude, they can't reply back to everybody. Even if you're shortlisted, sometimes they're not going to reply back to you. Mm-hmm. You know, so that was my big mistake. But setting it and forgetting it, Night and day difference.
When I used to audition in person in the city, it would be the same thing every time. You know, the casting director, thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in. I'm going to be like...
See, that's even worse, though, because they're right there.
Did you ever get like that was a great read? Like you get positive feedback? Yeah. I when I would go on auditions for like film, man, I had a couple, there was a couple of ladies that owned a casting company down here in Dallas or whatever, and I would see them all the time, and after every one, great read, Jake. That was great. That was so great. And I'm feeling good about it. They never hear anything.
Yeah, I know.
Stop telling me that then. You know what I mean? Like, just say thank you. It's not like I want you to say that. You know what I mean? Like, I can take it. Like, I don't, but yeah. So.
Yeah, I really did like it. But it wasn't
Of course. And I don't blame them, but it's like, as an actor, it's like you don't want to hear great read and then hear nothing. I'd rather just hear thank you so much and we'll let you know, or whatever. Just thank you so much. Yeah, you have a great day. Whatever, you know. And because I can, in my head, I know that I'm not going to hear anything unless I get it. I just don't want to hear a great read because then it's like, was it though?
Ooh, there's
it wasn't really. Yeah,
you're waiting on that thing like we have in the corporate world, that annual review, you know, or we only gave you a 4 this year because you really didn't hit the mark and blah, blah, blah. And your budgets were off a little and whatever. Yeah, you ain't getting that here, pal. It ain't coming. Nah.
No.
We want it as actors, though. We want to know if it was bad. We want to know so we can change and improve and take a different approach.
And even if you don't get it, doesn't mean it was bad.
Mm-hmm. Right,
that's the thing. Yeah.
But if you're not booking jobs, that seems to be the whole indicator of I must be doing something wrong.
Right. I
learned a hard lesson this week. I'd reached out to an agent that I just had gotten nothing from last year, like 4 auditions. And I said, hey, you know, maybe we need to part ways and blah, blah, blah. And they said, well, you know, did you not see these last 12 auditions? And this was like November and December. And I said, no, I didn't get an email on any of those. And so she's like, well, we need to check something. So they go in the system and look, and they have my email address. They had left off a letter on my email address. So they got it corrected yesterday, and they sent me some stuff. And they said, we're so sorry. You know, you've missed out on all this stuff and whatever. And I may have never booked any of them, but they're in Louisville, Kentucky. So I thought, you know, that's the best chance I got. They're in the area. They're booking, you know, probably getting a lot of stuff in the area. But we got it fixed, and they're going to take care of it. But I was to the point of, I just think I probably should ask them to take me off their roster. You know,
honestly, I've never asked a regional casting director to take me off. I just figured that they're going to do it. An agent, I figure if they don't want me anymore, they're not going to send me stuff. But that's always my thing of the only I have had relationship shifts in the New York market with those large agents. You know, things aren't working out or whatever, but the regional ones, I just let it sit. And I figured if they stop sending me stuff, then they must not have confidence in me anymore. But they keep sending stuff, you know, so, okay, I'll just keep auditioning for it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But not getting anything.
It's good you did reach out. Yeah.
Weird. Yeah. You know, and yeah. So I'm glad I did that because that's one of those things that we kind of get down about. You're wondering because I know even I had sent Charles to them and they put him on and he was getting auditions. So I'm like, well, I'm not getting them. I just sent you there and where's mine? You know, I'd like to compete with you, but you know.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a bad little story. I had an agent that I wasn't getting anything from, and it was like maybe 6 months. I was like, I have not gotten one audition from you. And then the guy emails the assistant. And the assistant is an idiot and just forwards me his email. So I see the trail of their conversation. And he's like, I've just made up this audition. Just send it to her so that it's something. And they faked an audition. They weren't getting any auditions. So that's the thing. They were not getting any. And I'm seeing this.
My gosh.
I saw it. I was like, God.
Isn't
never
that
look at them the same way again.
Man,
my goodness.
That's a bummer.
Never know.
I would say, as far as mistakes that I've made, errors, flub ups, I've waited too long in between coaches. I got my first coach within the first 6 months of jumping into voiceover. And then COVID hit and the world changed, right? But I waited too long to get the next coach. I waited too long to follow up on that. And so 2023, I did a lot better with that. I think having that extra coaching kind of propelled me to grow as an actor more, and in that way win some more auditions that I might not have won before. And so I waited too long.
That was
and part of that was jumping too quickly, like Troy's story is. I jumped too quickly into full time and depended on this little income I was getting to stretch out farther, and it didn't quite stretch far enough to get the coaching that I needed to get to grow it even more. So that's something I changed in 2023 and will continue working on in 2024.
Interesting. This is all great for folks that are just starting out to hear all of your different paths.
Can I add one more mistake?
Sure.
No, Charles.
All the mistakes you want, Charles.
As long as it's don't tape your microphone on your coffee cup.
Yeah.
Don't give us that.
To start your voiceover career.
Yeah.
So I had a coach that told me, why are you stepping over hundreds to pick up fives? And it was kind of like a moment to where I am spending all this time and I'm accepting these lower paying jobs. And I look at the rights usage and I'm like, it's fine. I just want that,
Right.
Or somebody will say, hey, what can you, what's your budget on this? Or they'll ask me, hey, can you send me a quote for this? But there'll be no details in there. And I would just be like, oh yeah, it'd be this much. And, I was so just wanting that validation of making money and, hey, I'm making something, right?
Right.
That I would just take whatever. And I would and literally I was wasting my time that could be used for other things, for these little
I think that's
tiny
a natural
paying jobs.
thing, though, when you're starting out, because you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You want to do it, and some people telling you, you're good, but if you're not booking jobs, it's like you have to get those little wins again.
Yep.
Even if the money is crap,
Sure.
it's a good way to start building confidence.
True
No,
that, but there should
for
be
me,
a point, like a threshold.
That's the thing. My mistake was not doing it. Like now I'm booking stuff. I'm making good money, but I still do take that little stuff and I do those little things. And you know what I mean? Like I had already passed that point where I should have been doing that, but it's like, I don't want to be that guy that's like, well, I want, this much for it. And that's how I would think of myself, picture it. But actually, you need to picture it as, yeah, my name's Charles Coates. I'm a voice actor. These are my rates. What is it going to be used for? How long? And, how's it going to be used? Okay, great. Well, this is my quote per spot. I'd love to work with you and send it off.
Boom.
But I didn't have that. I didn't want to be, I had that other guy in my head that was like, I'm going to be this guy trying to like get more money out of him,
Mm-hmm.
And that was my big mistake. And I waited way too long to now be comfortable with putting my price out there and giving it.
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly, 90% of them are like, oh, let me check real quick. Okay, sure. That'll work.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what the heck?
Why didn't I
wasn't
do this
doing
from the beginning?
before?
Right,
Yes,
exactly.
yes,
Or at
yes,
least,
yes.
after you got some confidence in yourself. But yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
It's the confidence thing. All right, here we go. Have you made an ass of yourself yet with a client, agent, or coach? It's common. I just want to know if you've done it yet.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
I mean,
Probably.
Have you done anything stupid? And you're like, oh, I want to take that back.
oh, this isn't like a big deal. And like, there was one time I was on a Source Connect session. Like I had just jumped on and I could hear them. No, I couldn't hear them. I couldn't hear them, but they could hear me. And so they were like using the chat to like talk to me. They're like, we can hear you just fine. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm freaking out. I was like, I just tested this. I have two sets of headphones, one for outside the booth and one inside here, and I hadn't adjusted all I had to do was open my settings and click,
Nice.
switch this over to the default. And I mean, like I was like, I'm sorry about that. They ended up being really cool, and they complimented my sound, so that was fine. But at the same time, it's like it was early on too. I think it was like in my second year of voiceover, and I was just like,
You saying you had the wrong headphones on?
Well, no, I had the right
setting
headphones
wrong.
on. I just
Okay.
had the setting wrong because like
I got you.
Didn't have
I
it
don't
switched
really.
over.
I don't edit in my booth. I popped out. I mean, I can edit in my booth. I just prefer not to. And so I still had my default headphones being the ones that are outside my
gotcha.
booth. And so I switched into this. I'm like, they can hear me just fine. I'm reading their chat, and I would sit and I'm saying like, you can hear what I'm saying, but okay. So I don't know what's going on, and like I'm like freaking out. I was like, I just tested this, but.
And they're on the
Yeah.
other line
It
like,
happens.
it's okay, man. Like we can hear it like this.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean that's the only thing I can think of. I did have and I was telling Charles about this weekend. I had a session early on where I booked the job and they liked my audition, and I get in and we start reading the script and I'm doing it like my audition, and the guy just kept saying, we want it more like you're just talking to a friend. And I'm like, okay, so I try something a little different that in my mind it sounds like I'm talking to a friend. it's not quite it. And I'm just at one point it just got just like I'm sorry, I just don't know if I'm hitting all the right notes. So they ended up finished the recording. I got paid for it, but I went to their website because I knew how it was going to be used. Like I don't know, like a month later, and they got somebody completely different to do the spot, which is fine with me. I still got paid for it, but at the same time, I was just like, I don't know what you want. You hired me because I auditioned and you liked my audition.
Yeah.
I gave you my audition, then I tried to make changes based on what you were saying, and you didn't like it. So I don't know if that was me making an ass out of myself or if him. Them
sometimes they don't know.
Got paid,
Just
so
a mismatch.
Yeah, no, it must just. I mean, like I feel bad because again they had to pay me for it, but at the same time, it's like I did the work. You know,
Yeah.
like you hired me. Yeah, so I mean those are the only two things I can think of. Other than that, everything's been real smooth from both ends. You know, I haven't worked with anybody I didn't like, and I feel like everybody I've worked with has taken to me just fine too.
That's great. So far, so
It's
good.
coming.
Anyone
Though.
else?
It's coming.
I did
coming.
It's coming. Right?
It's coming. I did a directed session, and it was like they confirmed a week ahead of time, right? Everything's great, this and that and the other thing. It's going to be at like 1 p.m., this and that and the other thing. Okay, great. At like 11:50, I take my dog out, go to the neighbors. We get our coffee. He works up for Microsoft, and he works from home. So we take our dogs to the pool field behind our houses where the swimming pool is. And so we're just out there and this and that and the other thing. And I always take my phone with me, but I didn't take my phone with me that time.
Oh, no,
and we're
Charles.
talking about Star Wars and UFOs, or I don't know what we're talking about, right? And I get back and it's like, now it's 12:40, right? I get back in and there's like 5 missed calls on my phone, like new emails. And it was 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
And
The
I'm
time change.
Central.
Oh,
And so like the
God.
client was on the line, everybody was there, like Source Connect hooked up, audio engineer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I was like, I am so sorry. This and that. We had a time thing difference, right? That is not the worst part.
Oh, God.
They rescheduled it.
Oh no,
Oh,
you were
shit.
late again.
They rescheduled it. Okay. I realize once again that I not like it's going to happen in like 1 minute. Like, I'm like, you know what? Oh my God, it's like now. So I jump into the booth. I'm trying to pull up the stuff and it's like, come on, Charles. Like, hi, my name's Charles Coates. I'm a professional flub up, you know? And so I get in and I had been doing a Zoom call that morning and I had my sound, just like Jacob had. I had my sound and my camera on the outside computer. So when I jump in, I click on the call. What does it show? It shows like a tissue box and a bowl of cereal, and it's pointing at my empty chair. And I have to go out of my booth
Classic.
to switch the
Oh,
stuff,
my
right?
goodness.
To
Oh,
throw
boy.
the screen in here.
Right.
So I run outside, I throw the screen in here, I jump on, and then I got to step out of the booth again once I click on video. Everybody's like, hi. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? They're like, yeah, we can't really hear you that good because the freaking microphone was on the freaking iMac outside. So then I'm like, oh, hold on 1 second. And then I have to run out of the booth,
Oh,
switch it again.
Charles.
I was just like, dude, you're a loser. Like, what are you doing, Charles?
Wow.
Dude,
It's like,
How was the
This
rest
my
of the
first
session?
time.
the session was great. Like, we're laughing
God.
and like I haven't had a bad session yet. But I was expecting them to just be like, do we have to stick with this guy? Like, he's
Right.
late again. Like, he
Right.
doesn't have his shit together.
Yeah.
But I was just like, come on, man.
Wow.
Oh,
That's
man.
funny. Wow. Okay.
I
that's
got
a good example.
I got told a couple of weeks ago that I was not hitting the T in the word whitefish, and that kind of made me
There's a
feel
T in
bad
that
because
word?
then I got and it made me feel bad because then you start thinking about it and you're either over pronunciating the T or whatever. And the only other one that I've had that was weird, I had a video game session. It was an hour. It was on a Friday night, and they were supposed to have a Chinese guy in there. They were taking the Chinese game and making it American. It was under NDA. And I had one, I don't know, 3 different parts, I think. And the voices were like, we want you to get in the same timing as the Chinese guy. So we're going to play his part, and then you say it, you know. And I said, but you want me to use the voice I used in the audition? Yes. So, but the guy's not here yet from the gaming company, so we don't know if he's going to get on or not. But we're going to go ahead and get this done. So we go through it, and he would, you know, the guy'd come on there, you know, so I would say my thing, you know, in the voice, and they're like, you know, make it sound more like his voice. And what are you going to do? Because the audition
from Tennessee,
was,
lady. I'm from Tennessee. Okay.
But the thing was like, please come in here. I want to help you. Something like that. So they're wanting me to go, please, I'll come in here. I want to help you. Like that. And I'm like, but now it's Chinglish. It's not even my voice. Right. So the funny part was, well, we're sorry, but that guy's not here, and we want to be sure we're satisfying him. They recorded all that, sent it off. They call me the next day and say, are you available Saturday? It'll be another fully paid session. And I'm like, sure, why? He's very upset that we didn't let you use your own voice.
Wow.
And that made me feel so much better. But at first I thought, well, I didn't want to be an ass and not do what they said. But
well, at that point, what can you do? You're
got to do what they tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I did 3 very Chinglish characters for him, and then I got to come back, and we knocked it out in like 25 minutes the second time. The first time we're on like an hour and a half because they can't time stuff up, and they're they're making it more like this. And,
Challenging.
It happens.
Alden?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Nothing is sticking out in my mind. I know that I have sent, like when I've had a lot of auditions going on and somebody direct mailed me.
He sent the
wrong audition to a client. I know I've done that before.
Yeah.
And when I realized it, I'm like, oh my gosh, and get back on. I said, I disregard that first one. I sent you the wrong thing, and I know I've done that, and I have had. Most of my live sessions go pretty well. I haven't had anything like that. I did have that East Coast Central time zone thing with my first coaching session with Brad Highland. Yeah.
I had a coach that I got the hours mixed up. They were on the West Coast, and I missed it, and they charged me and would not reschedule.
Yikes.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
That was pretty bad.
That's
and I was trying to reach out, and I was 10 minutes late, and I caught it, and I went, oh my gosh. And they said, I only give you 15 minutes. They sent an email, I only give you 15 minutes to get on. If you don't get on this 15 minutes. Well, I was on the call in 10 minutes trying to message them, on Skype. Hey, I'm here. And they charged me. So,
I remember I did an actual job for a client, and it was an IVR, but they wanted it they were using Cisco system, so they had to have it in not Wave, but it was like 8-bit or whatever.
Oh, that was weird little U-Law.
Yeah. And so I did that, sent everything off, and then I just jumped back into doing some auditions, checked emails, did some auditions, this and that, and I realized, and normally I listen back to everything that I send, right, before I send the audition, but I was just kind of in like, okay, I need to get these auditions out, gonna go through, send them off, done, right, good to go. I sent like 8 auditions, separate auditions that had that 8-bit quality to it.
Oh no!
Yeah.
So you didn't ever change your settings back. Okay.
I didn't change my settings. Yeah, it's like, thank you for calling. It's that crappy like $1.99 phone kind of setting sound.
Oh, funny.
And so it was like, needless to say, I did not get shortlisted for any of those.
I did that very thing. Yeah, I did one of those. In fact, it was an audition that is it Birmingham?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's in our group.
Birmingham, Alabama?
Yeah, she had liked my voice, and she said, I think you'd be a great fit for this. And it wasn't one of hers, but it was something she had seen. I don't know if it was where it was. I can't remember what platform.
She's really cool about that.
She is. And I'm like, that, I think that is a good fit for me. I did it. And same thing, Charles. It was in like that 8-bit because I had just done one of those.
Didn't change the settings back.
Well, this has been great, guys.
A lot of fun.
We chatted for over an hour, and I love it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I know.
Fair enough.
So it just means I'm just going to have you guys on again at some point. So.
Hey, we're about it. We love to talk. You should hear it. I mean, shoot. Charles and I were in the car together the other day for like 2.5 hours total.
And we would have talked the dog off a meat line. I mean, like, dog would have been like, I'm out of here. This is too much.
Yeah.
I didn't even cover all the questions I had. So this I'll save it for the next time. But
okay.
Thank you all for joining me today. That wraps up another episode of the Voiceover Gurus Podcast. Visit voiceover.guru. Obviously, we offer coaching, and we have our workouts that you can join in on. A good way to get some feedback affordably.
Yes, I would second that. I've been doing that lately. It's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, the limited amount of people as well in our online workouts, and we only max that out at 6. Troy's done a few of those.
Yep. I've done them with you guys too. They're great.
Yeah,
yep. Fantastic.
So it's only the 3 coaches, so we keep it nice and intimate and fun and one-on-one. So, but anyway, thanks again for joining me, and everybody have a great rest of your day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome.
Thanks for listening to the Voiceover Gurus Podcast. Real talk about the voiceover industry. Learn more about us and get coaching at voiceover.guru.